My name is Wendy Whelan. I'm a principal dancer with the New York City Ballet. I don't come from a family of dance at all, but I do come from an active family. My mother was a basketball coach, a gym teacher, and she had 3 kids, all very close in age, so she was overwhelmed, and we were all very hyper. And I was probably the worst one. So she pulled me out of the group and said, "You're going somewhere for the afternoon." So as the middle child, I started ballet at age 3 to kind of vent my energy. And I never stopped. So she chose a good thing for me, kept me interested for my whole life. And I continued to dance and perform as a young dancer with the Louisville Ballet. And I got to see real professional dancers, and being backstage, just completely, I fell head over heels for the performing arts, basically. And dance was the thing I knew, and I was starting to get it and understand it and maybe be able to do it a little bit, but I just really wanted to be backstage with the people because I thought they were so interesting. And all the people, I mean the stage people, the makeup people, anybody that did something to come together and collaborate, I just thought it was so cool. So then I got very serious when I was probably 12. I came into contact, actually I got serious when I was 10. I worked with a very small group of students with some very talented teachers, and most of them were from England, from the Royal Ballet or the London Festival Ballet training. So I had that kind of academic beginning, which was very square, but very serious, and they taught us pantomime, and it was very much from a school, the RAD. And I loved it. And then I also moved into contact with teachers from the Paris Opera. And one of her students, who became a professional dancer and danced with Le Grand Ballet Canadien, came back and started teaching us. And he had studied with Maggie Black. So I had all these different voices and schools and trainings coming at me, and they all sort of made this one sort of idea in this body. And I learned so much from each of those kind of schools. And my teacher sent me to New York, and they said, we think you need to get out of here, and we think you could do something, or go on. And so my teacher set me up with an audition for the School of American Ballet, and she sent me up to Cincinnati, and I auditioned for Suzanne Farrell, and I got accepted to the summer, and I went to SAB for the summer, and they invited me to stay for the year. And I waited another year and got into high school and got a little more established and started riding the public transit by myself and getting used to being on my own a little bit, to kind of train myself to live in New York. So that was kind of cool. And I went to a public school instead of a parochial school, so I was mixed with a lot of different kids rather than all the same kind. It was all about integrating myself into an urban sort of society. So I had a little year of rehearsal before I went off by myself at 15 to go to live in New York. And at the same time, my teacher was finding funding for me because my parents couldn't afford to send me to school. I had a scholarship from the ballet school, but I had to finish high school, and that was kind of expensive. So my teacher found a woman who offered to pay for my education, and she stayed anonymous to me until I became a professional, but then I finally got to meet her and thank her for that. So it was a lot of luck that kind of lined itself up for me and got me to a good place. Then I got into the school and pretty much got noticed by Peter Martins right after Balanchine had died. I know he was trying to find his group of people, and as a student I was really strong, and I think he appreciated that and brought me in to be an apprentice when I was about 17. 2 years later, I got into the company. It wasn't easy to get into the company at that time. So kind of had to keep working and proving myself. And that was really good for me to not get it all really fast and easy. It's just different. Yeah, I don't know how can't explain how it might be different, but there's more of a turnover now in New York City Ballet. And at the time I joined, it was all Balanchine's dancers because he had just died. And people weren't quite sure what was going on with the company. And at that time, the dancers didn't leave so easily because they wanted to stay there. They wanted to work with him. They wanted to work for him. And they really appreciated their jobs. And I think now we don't have a choreographer in residence, so it's different. And but early on, as a young dancer in New York City Ballet, Peter Martin's integrated new choreography festivals regularly, bringing in new choreographers and new ideas of like, let's make all American music, or let's, different things. So I got used to working with many choreographers really young, and I got used to seeing different choreography on our company very young. And that really piqued my interest, and I was drawn to that, and they were drawn to me. And so I feel really lucky. Yeah, you think, there's only one way. Yeah, because I had RAD, I had a little Paris Opera, I had a little Maggie Black, and then I had Balanchine. Those are 4 very strong ideas. You can call on the different ideas for different choreographers. And also you can play with them a little bit, like I think Rhett Mansky comes in, and he's a choreographer I work with occasionally. And he's very Russian style, but also a modern Russian style. And I'm very American style, but also I understand, these different ideas, I think, and I can play with them for him with his ideas, and it makes something that, it's like something you've never tasted before. So, and I think that's what choreographers might enjoy. Christopher Whelan's been a huge choreographer that I've worked with. We've made pieces that have really raised each other up for many years now. For about 10 years we've been working together. That was the first time we worked together, was 10 years ago. So, and from the first piece that we did together, he made me look good, and possibly I made him look good, but we did something for each other, and hopefully we continue to do that. We certainly enjoy working together. That would be Forsyth. Forsyth and Rhett Mansky also, in very different ways, but they really pull me in different ways and ask me to do things. I would maybe Bill Forsyth in physical ways and shaping ways and energetic ways, and Rhett Mansky in that way too, but also in more emotional ways or in performance ways. Like he's asked me to be sort of melodramatic on stage, which is something I never thought about before working with him. So it's fun to play, and you're kind of like Play-Doh or silly putty, and they kind of make these things out of you. You don't really quite know what they're doing, do you? But you come out in the end with a little more knowledge. Well, as I joined New York City Ballet, I joined New York City Ballet because I loved the choreography of Balanchine that I saw. And I also loved work by Jerome Robbins, and he was actually choreographing at the time there, and I actually worked with him quite a bit on a lot of his repertory. He taught me a lot about how to perform his ballets and how different they were from the Balanchine ballets. Balanchine ballets were just, you're a woman on a pedestal, you're crystalline, you're fantasy, you're a perfume. And with Robbins, you're much more of a human being, and you're kind of more thoughtful and inside, rather than kind of all-knowing and above the world. So having those two varieties helped me to see all the different ways a choreographer could ask you. When they incited me to the different ways a choreographer can approach working on a piece. And so I kind of knew only those two things. And then these new choreographers came in when I was very young: Lara Lubovitch, Forsyth, Tony Pimble, I don't know, all these different people, Ulysses Dove, and at times Twyla Tharp. And I just saw the huge range that a ballet dancer could do. You know, these people were from so many languages, but they all incorporated a ballet dancer's technique and training. And I kind of realized that this was, all these voices were what was the future. And you can't deny, you know, you can't say, well, you can't live in the past, you know, I mean, that's the thing, is you can take what the past has and carry it into the future, which is what I've tried to do with the Balanchine and the Robbins ballets. But the future is now with these different choreographers, and so you have to go with that, their ideas and the flow, and because that's what's making today and tomorrow. So I kind of learned that through over the years, to allow myself to go to these places rather than stay in a museum of ideas. But I developed those ideas strong enough that they've given me a structure to go into these new realms, I think. Some of the younger dancers, I don't know what they're thinking. You know, it's like they have their own thing, and I definitely had my own thing, but all this information just comes with your own personal time. So nobody taught me these things. They developed, I mean, I learned them and taught them to myself, these ideas and these ways of thinking and these insights.